I swear my heart broke that night, quietly, like a tree branch snapping beneath the weight of fresh snow. It all began with a laugh, not just any laugh, but hers, the same laugh I used to fall asleep listening to back when we were deeply in love. But that evening, it wasn't meant for me. It came from across the table where my wife, Sophia, leaned toward another man, her hand gently brushing his arm as though it naturally belonged there. We were attending her company's annual dinner. I'd gone because she'd invited me, although looking back now, maybe she never truly wanted me there. Her boss, some high-powered executive named Ryan, had organized a private celebration after closing a huge business deal. It was the kind of event where expensive wine never stopped flowing and everyone worked a little too hard to impress everyone else. Sophia fit perfectly into that world. I didn't. I repair HVAC systems for a living. I don't network. I simply fix things that are broken. But that night, the one thing I couldn't repair was my marriage. "Relax, Alexander," Sophia whispered, giving me that polished smile she only wore in public. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." "I probably would," I muttered. "You've been talking to that guy for almost 30 minutes. You haven't even looked at me." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please." "Not this again. He's my coworker. Can't I have a conversation without you turning into the jealous husband cliché?" "I'm not jealous," I replied. "I just—" She cut me off while keeping her perfect smile for everyone around us. "Then stop staring like you're about to punch someone." I looked at her. Her lipstick was flawless. Her dress was stunning. Her perfume was as captivating as ever. I used to love seeing her like that. But that night, all I saw was a woman who had outgrown me, someone who looked happier standing beside another man than she ever did beside her husband. I took a slow breath, trying to stay calm. Then Ryan leaned over and whispered something into her ear. She laughed again. This time she leaned even closer. My fingers tightened around my glass so hard I nearly shattered it. That's when she looked directly at me, her smile still in place while her eyes turned ice cold. "If you're that jealous, Alexander," she said quietly, her voice carrying just enough venom to cut deep, "then go home." The words sliced straight through me. "Go home if you're jealous," she repeated, almost daring me to leave. So I did. Without saying another word, I stood, grabbed my coat, and walked away. The drive home was silent. Just me, the steady hum of the tires, and the echo of her words repeating inside my head. "Go home if you're jealous." It sounded less like advice and more like a dismissal. When we first got married, Sophia used to hold tightly onto my arm at every party, proudly introducing me. "This is my husband, Alexander. He can fix anything." She'd smile in a way that made me feel like I could conquer the world. But somewhere along the way, after her promotion and all her polished new friends, she stopped saying those words with pride. Now I was simply Alexander, the husband who no longer fit into her perfect world. I pulled into our driveway in Charlotte and sat in the car for a long time, staring at the empty passenger seat. My phone buzzed several times. Probably coworkers, maybe a friend, but never her. She didn't even bother checking whether I'd made it home safely. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that confident smile on her face. The way she looked at Ryan, the way her hand rested just a little too long on his arm. By 2 o'clock in the morning, something inside me finally gave way. I wasn't simply jealous anymore. I was tired of feeling like an inconvenience inside my own marriage. So I made a decision, not out of anger, out of clarity. If Sophia wanted distance that badly, I'd give her all the distance she could ever want. When she finally stumbled through the front door at exactly 3:47 a.m., I pretended to be asleep. I heard her heels click across the hardwood floor before stopping. A faint smell of whiskey drifted through the room. So did a man's cologne, not the one I wore. She paused for a moment as though she were looking at me. Then she whispered something under her breath before quietly slipping into the bathroom. A moment later, the shower started running. That's when I noticed the lipstick stain on her collar. It wasn't the same shade she'd worn to dinner. It was darker. My stomach tightened. I wanted to confront her immediately. I wanted to demand answers. I wanted to scream, "Why are you doing this to us?" Instead, I waited. Morning would tell me everything I needed to know. When sunrise came, I quietly got out of bed, brewed a pot of coffee, and packed my things. Not much, just clothes, my tools, and a few personal keepsakes. Before leaving, I placed my wedding ring on the kitchen counter beside her favorite coffee mug. By the time she opened her eyes, I was gone. At exactly 8:32 that morning, my phone started ringing. It was Sophia. I ignored it. Then the messages began. "Alexander, where are you? We need to talk. Why would you leave like this? This isn't funny." By noon, she had called more times than I could count. When I finally answered, her voice was shaking. "Alexander, where the hell are you?" "At peace," I answered quietly. "What does that even mean?" "It means you told me to go home if I was jealous. I listened, and now I'm not coming back." "Alexander, stop being dramatic. You embarrassed me last night. Everyone kept asking where you went. Maybe you should have told them I went home, just like you told me to." She didn't speak for several seconds. When she finally did, her voice had softened. "You're overreacting. I didn't do anything wrong." I laughed quietly. "You didn't do anything? You came home almost at 4 in the morning smelling like another man's cologne. Do you really think I'm that blind?" "That's not what happened," she rushed to explain. "Ryan got drunk. He spilled his drink on me. That's all. I took a shower as soon as I got home." The explanation came far too quickly, far too perfectly. "Right," I replied. "Just like you forgot to call. Just like you never noticed me walking out." "You're twisting everything," she snapped. "You always make me feel like the bad guy when I'm just trying to live my life." "Then live it," I answered softly. "Just don't expect me to stay while you pretend our marriage isn't falling apart." Silence. Then she quietly asked, "Where will you go?" I took a slow breath. "Does it matter? You didn't care where I was last night." Then I ended the call. That afternoon, I drove 2 hours to my brother's cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains. No phone signal, no traffic, no noise, only silence. The kind of silence that forces you to face everything you've been trying to avoid. I spent that first night sitting alone on the porch, staring up at the stars and wondering when love had slowly turned into suspicion. When laughter had become lies, the truth finally became impossible to ignore. I'd spent years fighting for someone who no longer existed. The following morning, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a voicemail. Her voice sounded completely different, soft, broken. "Alexander, please call me. I didn't mean what I said. I was drunk and stupid. I never should have told you to go home." She paused. Then I heard her crying. "I don't even know why I flirted with him. It didn't mean anything. But when you left, it felt like I lost everything. Please come back. We can still fix this." For one brief moment, my heart almost gave in. Then I remembered the way she'd looked at me that night, the complete indifference in her eyes. It wasn't about one terrible evening. It was about years of small choices that slowly destroyed everything between us. So I sent her one final message. "You told me to go home if I was jealous. I finally did. Turns out, home isn't where you are anymore." Weeks passed. She called a few more times. Eventually, she stopped. Later, I heard through mutual friends that she'd quit her job not long after everything happened. Apparently, people at work found out she'd crossed the line with her boss. Maybe that was karma. As for me, I started over. I rented a small apartment in Asheville, went back to fixing HVAC systems, and slowly rebuilt my peace one day at a time. I won't pretend it doesn't still hurt. Sometimes I still remember her laugh and how it once belonged to me, but that pain no longer controls my life, because the night Sophia told me to go home, she believed she was pushing me away out of anger. What she never realized was that she had actually set me free from a love that had already died, and that, more than anything, was priceless.